Oh, well, that's what I didn't want you guys to see. Okay, hey, hello, welcome to Dear Video Games on the Soul Dojo, where we talk about our open letter to our favorite hobby. My name is Curtis.
Yep.
I talk about video games, write about video games, all that great stuff. We're already kind of jittery because there's been way too many technical issues than one can really handle, and
Oh yeah.
man, it's just trying to get through this stream is just literally the thing we're trying to do. But yeah, I'm joined by your favorite Bay Area rapper, Volta Slapadelic. What's going on, man?
Doing good. We're doing the Dark Souls of setting up a live stream right now.
You're dead. Boom. The dark. Hey, it's gone. It's gone now. Yeah, man, it's been tough. It has to be because I haven't live streamed in a minute, but we are here on YouTube. And I thought it would be a little bit easier. I kind of got it, but hopefully the next stream is just a lot easier. But let's jump right back into it. If this is your first time, make sure you guys subscribe to the Soul Dojo. Make sure you guys follow us. Our Twitter is down there at the bottom. Man, so you were talking about you were talking about 2017 and how good that year was for gaming and stuff like that, and
how
you got into it during that time.
Yeah, it was sort of and it's funny because it is nowadays sort of seen as kind of a turning point in games,
Really?
because when I tell people yeah, I didn't really play video games from maybe 2010 to 2017.
Yeah.
I was in some old school stuff here and there, and people are like, yeah, for the most part, you didn't miss out on much. And all the best games in that era on modern consoles with better controls and stuff nowadays, anyway.
Yeah, totally. My story I think might be a little bit different only because I feel like when you're a child, you just love video games just by nature.
Oh yeah,
You just love things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think when I was a kid, I don't necessarily think that's when I fell in love with video games. I loved games, but like I said, I think every kid loves games. But
yeah.
when I have to say when I absolutely realize oh, I love video games is probably games like Skyrim, probably Mass Effect, Dragon Age, exactly. Breath of the Wild did do a good number on me too. And I think it's just the games that tell stories and stuff like that. Like the fact that I was willing to go through all these games with story and get into the characters. That's when I knew, this is something I love doing. This is something I always wanted to talk about. And when I did the Soul Dojo, back in I want to say maybe I did start it in 2017 when I did the Soul Dojo. I knew it was something I've always wanted to do. So, I love video games for a whole bunch of reasons. I love games because, they kind of work that problem solving part of your brain.
Yes.
Yes. They give you stories that you always will take with you, even though people might not care. It's like, well, somebody wrote this story to make me feel something, and I really did feel something when I went through this game.
Yeah, I've always been one of those people that says story doesn't really matter in video games, but the more and more really good story driven modern games come out, the more I'm seeing why it's nice to have a real good, well written story. It's you don't need that if you're making like a Mario or whatever, but it's like Halo Infinite. It's like we talked about in the last episode, just an amazing storyline. They had me engaged from start to finish.
And that's not even. I wouldn't. Why? And I haven't played all the way through.
That's just the most recent example.
Yeah. And that is just. Like we said before, is more of a personal story when it comes to Master Chief. You see more of that emotion from him in that game. There's a lot of games I've always said games like Hellblade have touched me in a way where I learned okay, you know what? Video games are something bigger than just you just get on there and play with your friends, or you just shoot people and get a couple points and you're off. It's or you just kind of sit down, play it or whatever. They really do mean a lot more than that. They tell really personal stories. They bring you into new worlds, new ideas. And I feel like when I started thinking about games in that way, that's when I was like, I love this medium. And it still has so much to grow. And that was something that you were talking about in the beginning. or right before we got shut off the air, was like
Yeah.
you were leaning towards like kind of talking about video games like progressing, and that's the biggest thing
Yeah.
about video
It's
games right now is there's so many things we're still trying to figure out, because back
mhm.
in 2017, I believe the loot box debacle happened.
That's when it was first started blowing
2016,
up and stuff.
27.
That was Battlefield 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Battlefield
during
2, I
that
mean, yeah.
time. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
kinks that this industry still needs to work out. When you look at like the
Mhm.
GTA situation with um some of the
See,
voice
remember
actors.
when the trilogy first came out, and I
Mm,
was like, honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm seeing all the same bugs and stuff everyone else is
yeah.
seeing. But then as I played more, I'm like, oh,
There is some of
okay,
the bugs, yeah.
this
I
game's
haven't played
pretty
it in a
awesome.
minute. I didn't when I was talking about GTA, I didn't mean it that way. I meant like
Mhm.
when the original trilogy came out and they got the dude from like Goodfellas to like voice
Mhm.
Tommy Vercetti and stuff. They started seeing the profit come through, or especially the guy that played Nico Bellic. They started seeing how much the game was making, and like, well, I only got a cut of like,
Yeah.
$6,000 or whatever they made, and it's like, I only got a cut for this and this and this. Hollywood was
Mhm.
behind the curve of video games. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this median still has a lot to work
Yeah.
out, and it's like we're
Yeah.
still in the beginning stages of it.
In terms of animated storytelling and really good motion capture and really good like voice acting and stuff, video games really are at the top there, because
Mm,
like now movie studios are starting to use Unreal 5 and stuff,
right.
and
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
right.
like, when you look at how they how they how they like filmed like the performances for games like Hellblade or God of War, or you know it's real actors like on stage in a mocap suit really acting, and
Really
it's
doing
like
their thing. Yep.
it's so impressive. Yeah.
Mm.
In God of War, speaking of the video game industry sort of maturing into like, it's always been a form of art, but now it's like this, like, people really can't push back against that anymore because of how much it's grown in terms of storytelling and all of that, and acting and everything. And I think God of War is pretty much the poster child for that, because the old games are as stereotypical, mindless, violent, oversexed video game that you can imagine. I mean, they're fun and everything. I'm not trying to hate on them, but it's
No,
just,
completely
and then
understand your point.
playing the PS4 version,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like it's this like thoughtful, it's very sentimental, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, it still has all the violence and stuff, but it's not like reveling in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
it does a good job of like staying true to what it is, but adding all
yeah,
those
yeah.
other story elements into it.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally. I never thought of it that way, but I completely understand that and
I
completely agree
just
with that.
yeah. I just remember like just in there like several moments going like, I cannot believe God of fucking War is making me feel emotions right now.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
I think that game is when did that game come out? 2018, the same time
I
Red Dead
think
came
so.
out?
Yeah, I think so.
The same time. I would think same time the Red Dead came out. And
Hmm.
those games coming out the
Yeah.
same time like that, around the same time like that, was really big too. Made it a really
Hmm.
good year for gaming. Um,
Hmm.
and of course, like recently, like a lot of games that have been winning Game of the Year are games that are very story driven and very like emotional. Like, It Takes Two, a story about
Hmm.
two. You know, I think I have never played the game. I know it's about
I
a
never played it.
couple that is
Yeah.
divorcing, but they go through this adventure together. That itself sounds you already know it sounds very Pixar-ish, but you already know how those movies go. Like, it's very sad. They're very emotional. They have a lot of these
Hmm.
elements in them.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, let us know in the comments if anybody's watching. At this point, if anybody's watching, let us know what you guys. When did you realize you love video games? Um, the next thing I wanted to talk about is what's coming up this year in gaming. Because you know what? The funny thing about the news right now is there's not much going on. There's really not a whole
Hmm.
lot going on. It's been very dead, but it's only like the second month of the year. Happy
Yeah.
2022, everybody. Hope you guys had a good Happy New Year. So when I'm looking at the first, so far, like when you look at like the first month, probably the big games
Hmm.
that really do stand out. And if you know any games that you like, go ahead and throw them in there. But the only game, I mean, I see God of War for PC that came out no, that hasn't came out yet. It comes out in 2 more days, but people have gotten their hands on a review copy. People are
Pretty
loving
cool
it.
that Sony's doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Of course, like PCs like that it should be like the level ground between Xbox and PlayStation. Oh wow, is that really coming out? Rainbow Six Extraction. Because you know what's funny? That game used to be called Rainbow Six Quarantine,
Pandemic or Quarantine, something
yeah,
like that.
it was something like that,
Yeah.
and like straight up, they were supposed to. It's a one. You know what? We know you have beef with Ubisoft, but
I was about to say, oh man, I can't believe Ubisoft would do something tone deaf.
The next one is I would think me and you both are getting this. It's Pokemon Legends of Arceus.
Yes, I think it looks so good. Like, I don't know, like, I always try to not get super duper hyped about stuff because of how often that can backfire, you know. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I've been wanting them to do this kind of take on Pokemon for a long time.
Let's go ahead and talk about the game a little bit. Assassin's Creed Pokemon, what's going on here, Slap? Like, you can dodge roll, you can roll Pokemon are attacking you. I just saw that. I said that is, in a weird way, that is the most disgusting thing I've seen on the internet.
It's funny because you can tell that people kept telling the Pokemon company, just do Breath of the Wild but Pokemon. Like the fans and stuff kept saying that. And so then they were like, actually, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Can I say something?
I'm 100% here for it.
Can I say something to you that I did say on this channel? I think last week when I did my channel update video, and I said something, and I said it's weird that Breath of the Wild is officially in the same position that Skyrim was in years ago, where everybody's saying, oh, that game has this, just like Skyrim. That game has this, an open world that's kind of like Skyrim. That game, and they still compare it, but now it seems like Sonic Frontier. That is very Breath of the Wild Sonic style. Like that's what it is.
And it works. When the Sonic team came out and they were like, oh, they didn't literally say it, but they basically were like, yeah, we're just gonna do Sonic Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
If you look at I'm gonna get the name wrong. Immortal Phoenix Rising, the Ubisoft game.
Heard about that.
If you look at that Breath of the Wild style, but with the Assassin's Creed aesthetic.
That's right. Yeah. Now I remember the specific one that was.
Exactly. I'd be surprised if Kirby. I haven't seen the new Kirby game yet, but watch Kirby come out with something like that.
They just came out with the trailer, I think today, and I watched it, and it's like the levels look like these big sandbox kind of open worldy things, but I'm not 100% sure if the whole game is open world because there was a couple of seconds that sort of looked like you were moving around on a overworld map, like a Mario 3 type of deal, which I'd be down for. The 3D world does that, and I think it's really good.
That's what's up. That is what's up. Yeah, it's like you seem like everybody's like, oh, well, you can climb everywhere, just like Breath of the Wild. You can do this just like Breath of the Wild. Like it seems like it's just in that area right now. But I cannot wait.
The day Breath of the Wild came out, having like a inexplicable yellow section on a cliff is just you can't do it anymore.
You can't do it anymore. Sorry, Horizon.
Yeah.
Speaking of that was it's sad that the stream.
It's gotta be my most anticipated game this year is Forbidden West. Even though I think I'm so hyped be unable to get a PS5.
Yeah, I'm actually very hyped for it. I think it's coming out for PlayStation 4. Is it also? I'm about to see right now. We're about to start talking about it here in a second. But you know what's funny is like, I was making the thumbnail for this, and like I was like, I don't want to have just Horizon Zero Dawn and then just like the words "Dear Get Video Games." But then when I made it, I said, "Oh wow, that's kind of good." And then I put it on YouTube. I was like, "That's kind of good. This is a good, really, really, really good thumbnail." So, anyway, where is it at?
That game was incredible. If it hadn't come out 3 days before Breath of the Wild, then it probably would have gotten way more Game of the Year awards than it did.
Right. Oh yeah, it would have. It would have swept it. It would have did. It would have did really well. Oh wow, I didn't know that was coming out. So February, the month of love. It's looking like you're about to love video games. Dying Light
Oh
2
yeah.
is coming out.
Oh man, I keep every like couple of years they come out and they're like, "Oh yeah, Dying Light 2 is still the thing that's coming out," and I'm like,
Hmm.
"Yes."
Yeah, that's awesome.
That first
Uh,
one's great.
they I might be slow on the news here. I didn't know they made like a subtitle. I didn't know they did a Stay Human with it. So it's called Dying Light 2 Stay Human.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if that's some kind of like reference, like maybe you actually can turn into a zombie if you get bitten too much or something.
Yeah,
That'd be
something's going
interesting.
on. Something's going on.
Yeah.
Um there's just so many remasters, Life is Strange is getting a whole remaster collection. Um there's a
It's interesting.
Dynasty Warriors Empires is getting in there. The Assassin's Creed Ezio collection comes to Switch. There you go. Take your Assassin's Creed Ezio collection on the go. Total Warhammer 3. I know people are excited for that. Um, did I jump over it? Nope, it's next. Horizon Forbidden West for PlayStation 5 and for PlayStation 4. February 18th.
I am really excited about that.
I'm very
I
excited for
feel
that.
like if I buy like you know like Miles Morales or Spider-Man 2 or God of War Ragnarok or um, um, Forbidden West
Hmm.
on my PS4, then I'm just giving up. I'm admitting defeat that I'll never get a PS5.
I'm trying to work on still getting a PS5. Of course, you guys can see I do have a next gen console. It is the S because I can get my hands
Hmm.
on the S, and I do like my
It's a
S.
sweet console. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
Really good
I
console.
like mine a lot. Yeah.
Game Pass is just really working for me on there.
Hmm.
I Horizon Forbidden West. I'm gonna have to go back and because I beat that game when it came out, the first one. So
Hmm.
I got to go back and check on the story and remember it. But I remember it did get kind of crazy. Uh, March is March just by the look of it, it looks a little bit dry. But you do have games like Babylon's Fall coming out. You have games like Persona 4 Arena, Ultimax coming out for PlayStation 4 and Switch. I think that's a long title.
Those different versions of the Persona games are so confusing
It's
to
so
me.
confusing.
It's like 'cause some of them are just like sort of like remakes or like kind of add-on additions, but then other ones
Yeah.
are like Dance Dance Revolution type games
Yeah.
that it's just
Yeah.
like,
Oh my God. So here you go. Here you go, Slap. Here you go. Um, Kirby. I forgot that's what it was called. That.
oh, the Forbidden
the,
Land or
the
something like that.
the
Forgotten Land.
forgotten land. I just
Hmm.
it's like, yo, look, here's the script for the game. It's a land that's forgotten. What should we call it?
Hmm.
The Forgotten Land.
Yeah.
Jerry, you're hired.
Genius.
Like it does look very Breath of the, it looks like The Last of Us Kirby because there's like a car in the
Yeah.
background
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people make that
and it's
comparison.
rusty.
Yeah.
Um
What's funny is whenever the Kirby games get more plot heavy, like the last time I remember was being Kirby 64,
mhm.
like it's kind of dark. Like
It's
it
pretty
deals a lot with like environmentalism
mhm.
and like existential kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't expect it because it's
It's Kirby. See,
Nintendo's
you're a pink
it's
ball.
Nintendo's objectively most adorable mascot. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna see. I might give my girlfriend that. I think she'll like that. I'm actually. It comes out March. Give me a second. March 25th. I mean that I'm probably gonna play that. I did play the
Yeah.
last one.
I'm a sucker for Kirby games. I got the
Mhm.
last one. It was, I mean, it wasn't bad. It's
It
just
wasn't bad.
obviously kind of made for like, early, you know what I mean?
It's a
Like
very easy Kirby game.
it
It's just
seems
sit
like they were
down.
making it for small kids,
Yeah.
like who
Yeah.
maybe couldn't complete all the levels in Mario Odyssey or something like that,
Mhm.
because that game does ramp up in intensity. Odyssey, like it gets pretty
Yeah.
hard by the end of it.
I believe it.
But yeah, I had fun with Kirby. I never died throughout the entire playthrough, but I still had fun with it.
Yeah. Totally. The Vampire Masquerade. I'm getting. We're in May right now. Vampire Masquerade is going to come out at some point. I don't know if what in the world is going on with my laptop here. I don't know if they're doing finally a full release of the game because I don't know. They keep saying like, oh, this is the Vampire Masquerade multiplayer. This is the Vampire Masquerade this and that. So this one's called like the Swan Song. So I don't know
Hmm,
if this is the actual
interesting.
game. I don't know, but it comes out May 19th. So I don't know if it's the actual game, but I am looking forward to that game because
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
August
it's
is
one of those.
seeing Saints Row, the new one.
A new one or like a, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, there's
I've
a.
been wanting them to remake Saints Row 2 for so long. It
Did they
was like
not
the
do
peak of
that?
the series so much. I don't think they have. I think they remade 3 and 4, and then they made that,
Yeah.
and then yeah, which aren't bad, but I think 2 is the peak of the series
Oh,
because
dude, two is so good.
it was just a parody of GTA 4, and
Mhm.
it was so good. I loved that game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally no. This one, yeah, I don't know if you did you see anything on this new one? Because I remember when it got
No,
I remember when it got announced. I think it was at Gamescom it got announced.
I think very vaguely remember seeing an announcement for it a while back.
Okay, it seems like they seem like it's all the craziness in it, but
Mhm.
it's just a brand new one. So I'm gonna buy
Mhm.
it. That's gonna be a summer game. I know during the summer game it can be a little hit and miss, so I'm definitely gonna buy it. Let's talk about. I'm gonna skip September. I am so sorry to test drive Ultimate Solar Crown. What the hell is that?
Yes.
What? No, Kurtz, talk about it.
Play that right after I'm done with super bass fishing and off the road big rig truckers.
I never have heard test drive Ultimate Solar Crown. Are you test driving cars? I don't. Let's talk about the big one in November. That I'm gonna say it now on Dear Video Games on the So Dojo first episode. This game is gonna get delayed. Starfield by Bethesda.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know. They keep counting it down. There's just like a Twitter account that counts down every day until it's out, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, don't do this to me.
Don't do this to people.
It's like
Uh,
they can delay it as long as they need to,
mm-hmm,
but like I really want to play it.
mm-hmm.
Even if it's just Skyrim in space, that would legitimately be perfect for me.
Yeah, I think that would be because I don't know if me and you talked about it, but Todd Howard did go on I think he was on IGN and he talked about some of the things that they were doing with this game, and he was saying there's gonna be a lot of like Skyrim, Fallout
Mhm.
things in there, like little elements of the game are gonna be just like that. You're gonna have instead of like a map, you're gonna have the HUD that
Mhm.
Todd Howard really likes. You're gonna have things like that, so it's gonna be like that, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing with this game is, yeah, we haven't seen anything great, but this is the main developer, Bethesda, working on a
Yeah.
big brand new
Mhm.
IP. That's what I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
Can it flop? Of course it can. We've seen games like
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 flop. It can flop, but I mean, and it's also, I'm looking at it now, it's also an Xbox exclusive. Like, that
Yeah, it
is
is.
crazy. So I can play it on this thing right
It's a
here.
Microsoft Game Studios game. It's
Dude.
probably going to be
On
Game
Game
Pass.
Pass? If it's on Game
Yeah.
Pass first, I think PlayStation needs to
Mhm.
really pick it up at this point.
Yeah.
That is going to be a big one. Especially if it's really good. Especially if
Yeah.
it's really good. But
Because that's how Halo pretty much just took over everything when it came out, just because they're like, oh yeah, you just play it. It's
mhm.
fine.
Yeah, you could just
It's on their day to date. Yeah.
and it's like, well, if you don't want to play Game Pass, well, you can have the multiplayer for free.
Yeah. Like just take our game. Just take it.
I'm looking up real quick, just fact checking myself. This is what I need my homie for. I'm just fact checking myself if it will be on Game Pass
Mhm.
straight away. It says here on the Starfield Xbox thing that the award. Oh, that kind of weirded it differently. It does say play it day one on Xbox Game Pass. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
That is a big one for Microsoft right there. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's a big one. That is a big one. Uh, Stalker 2. So we're going. All right. So that's kind of everything and this is on Game Informer if you guys want to go check it. That's kind of everything that they have up right now. There
Mhm.
is a lot of. I'm not gonna lie. This year already looks really good, especially for the Switch.
It
There's a
does
few
actually.
games
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
Switch. Um, that's
When's Splatoon 3 supposed to come out?
oh,
Why not for a few more years, huh?
it's Splatoon 3 and Bayonetta 3. We're waiting for here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause Splatoon 2 was like my surprise game of when I first got the Switch because I was like, yeah, I guess I'll pick it up. It looks kind of interesting. And then I just love that game. I played it so much for
Mm,
like all the way up until they stopped doing like Splatfest and like regular updates and stuff.
yeah. Totally. I'm just giving this a little listen here. Oh, it sounds good. I don't know why I thought it sounded bad. I'm over here tripping. Okay. All right. Some of the last things we'll talk about here, man, and finally get this. Oof. I don't even know how to sum up this stream. Oh my goodness. From beginning to end. Jesus. Um.
We persevered.
um. Last thing I want to talk about is just kind of like I want to talk about the console war. Does the console war even really matter? You know, we talked about PlayStation 4 or PlayStation and Xbox a little bit. So today, PlayStation 5 or Sony came out and said that they're to kind of combat the shortage, they're going to be making the shortage of PlayStation 5s. They're going to be making more PlayStation 4s. Um, yeah, it sounds like ridiculous to say. It is, as it really is.
You think they'd make more PlayStation 5?
Yeah, you would. It's like, okay, we have the assets to keep making PlayStation 4s. What's up with the assets to make the PlayStation 5? And it's like people have the PlayStation 4. People don't want.
Everyone has the PlayStation 4. Yeah,
exactly. I don't really understand why they're going that way. But here's my thing. Slapadelic is like, I just think that Xbox was a little bit more prepared for this situation because of the console that's behind me. I think they were a little bit more prepared because this console is more, it's more out there, it's more available. It cost $200 less, not even $200 less, and you don't have to buy. You don't even have to really, unless you really want to play something that's outside of the Game Pass. You don't have to buy video game. You don't have to $60 a pop. You can get Game Pass for actually $1 because their first month is $1. So and then you jump on there, you pay your $14 for your Ultimate, which gives you your Gold, your online, your Game Pass. It gives you Game Pass for PC. It gives you the cloud service. It gives you everything. And
yeah, I feel like it really is that like Netflix of games that so many have been trying to do over the past several years.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like they finally did it, and like I just think Sony is like, it's like Sony. You had like one of the best consoles ever with the PS4. You have some of like a lot of people's favorite games that are only on your platform. Like, can I please just give you $800? You know, and they're like, no. You know what I mean? And it's just so weird. Whereas Xbox is like, you don't have to give me shit. I just take my console. You play every game on it.
You could play all these games on it. You play all these games on it. Yeah, and it's beautiful, and then it's like the big exclusives because Xbox for the longest, I think since 2018 has been throwing it down our necks that like, okay, we are acquiring all these studios to make all these awesome games, and of course in the beginning I was like, well, we just got to see them. Starfield, Elder Scrolls now,
Doom.
Halo, Doom, Hellblade, all those games are coming to Game Pass straight away, and they're only going to be able to be played on Xbox and PC. So it's like, is there a console war? I think there is a console war, especially with not as much. I think there is with the companies, but also with the fans, because of course the fans are going to fight amongst each other. But why do you think PlayStation is now trying to do their own Game Pass thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. Yeah, I mean, Sony, it's a little confusing because it's like if I feel like they see that they're slipping in popularity when compared to like Nintendo and especially Microsoft right now, and they're just kind of reacting to it in sort of weird ways. I guess it's like, oh, we're gonna kind of like emulate Game Pass and stuff like that, which is good. I think they should do that. I've been saying that for a long time. The other two companies should just steal that idea. But it's like I feel like they perceive there to be more of like a 90s console war than there actually is. It's like people just buy the Xbox because it's available. You know what I mean? It's like I don't mind console exclusives. You buy a Nintendo to play Nintendo games. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like I've never really taken the whole console war thing serious. To me, that's kind of like arguing over like Pepsi or Coke. You know what I mean? It's like
right.
It's like they're just corporations at the end of the day. It's not like a real culture war or anything like that. It's like, you know what I mean? It's if you can afford it, get all the consoles because they all have good things to offer. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so it's like, yeah, I was like, this is the first time I actually went out and like since the 360, which broke on me after having it for like less than a year.
Yeah.
This is my first time actually going out and buying an Xbox and getting like real into like Microsoft and Xbox games and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And
Mm.
I really like it quite a bit. Like in yeah, it's even though I'm a huge Nintendo fan and have been since I've been like 7 years old, like I'm still super excited for when Sony comes says, "Oh yeah, Horizon's coming out" or whatever. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Right.
And so
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I think people it makes sense for the companies or at least their like marketing teams to sort of play into the console war things, but when like the average person does it, I feel like they're kind of sort of just robbing themselves of like some really good games because they're like Sony ponies and Xbox bros and stuff, and it's just
Yeah.
like
No, I completely agree with that
just play
because
the games, man.
yeah, I completely agree with that. In my corner, I'm just like, look, I want everybody to succeed because the people that ultimately win are us, the
Hmm.
consumers. And at the moment, I do have everything actually, except like the newer Xbox and PlayStation. And
Hmm.
yeah, I completely agree with you. They're people that just are tribalistic about their love for Sony or love for
It's
Microsoft. They
tribalistic,
probably
yes.
are. They probably are
Hmm.
robbing themselves of like really great games because and there's so many different sections of being a good
Hmm.
console that like I'm just glad that Xbox is now back in the zone where it's
Hmm.
like okay, exclusives. Okay, Xbox can now officially say, yeah, we got exclusives because last
Yeah.
generation they couldn't say it. Then you
Hmm.
talk about like certain services where it's like now Xbox has kind of taken that and kind of made
Hmm.
it their own and they've worked on it for a while now where you have things like Game Pass and their cloud
Yeah.
service and things like that. And yeah, I think Sony is doing a little bit of catch up, but you can't
Hmm.
you you Sony was always it was always going to come down to Sony. They couldn't hold on to the fact that we have all these exclusives for so
Yeah.
long. Like of course, yeah, we got God of War, we got Ratchet and Clank, we got all this stuff, but there was going to be a point you would have to do more. So their
Hmm.
little Game Pass thing, whatever is coming out, we're hearing it's a tier system. I hope it's good. I really do hope
Yeah.
it's good, and I hope
Yeah.
it,
That would be
it,
awesome.
it keeps the
Yeah.
combat because
Hmm.
I think the game war, whatever you think about it, really, I think it's a good thing because I think it keeps both companies very competitive with each other, and that's why you're getting the Game Pass stuff.
On that end of it, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not the person that's going to jump in and defend
Hmm.
Sony
Well,
away
just
from Microsoft people. That's not what I'm
yeah,
here for.
yeah, yeah. Because
The
like I
only
remember the
console I
'90s,
will defend with my life is Switch, and I don't know why I'll do
I,
it.
I will die on that hill. I don't care
Yeah.
how I don't care how like shitty it is in a different bunch of ways. I love it
Mm.
so much. I
Like people are
I
like, but
treasure it
but
dearly.
Nintendo does remasters and they sell it for $60. But that
Hmm.
just lets Nintendo be Nintendo. Because if
Yeah.
Microsoft did it, I'd be mad
Nintendo's like
as
a
hell.
140-year-old company that's run by the mob or whatever. It's like they're gonna do what they're gonna do, you know.
It is. I'll go on the record and say it is bullshit. But it for some reason there's a bone in my body that says it's Nintendo though. So
Yeah,
it's like they can get away with it, but I wouldn't allow Sony,
yeah,
Microsoft, maybe even PC people to get away with it. I wouldn't do it. I'd
hmm,
be like, no, 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 no.
yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
so
because
Nintendo gets away with it.
like back in the day with the console wars, it was because all the different consoles were so different
So
from each other.
different, yeah. Yeah.
Like just in the '90s, there was like between like the Genesis and the SNES, or the N64 and the PlayStation, or the
Mhm.
Dreamcast and the PS2, and it's like, but then, I mean, even like with the Xbox, GameCube, and PS2, like those were all pretty different from each other too. But like since then, with Nintendo obviously being like the outlier on purpose, like
Mhm.
Sony and Microsoft's consoles have been essentially the same thing for like a long time. So the only real thing that differentiates them is the exclusive games or the different like
Little
packages
services
and
and
deals
stuff
that you
like
can
that,
get.
yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't really. I don't know. Like it doesn't make as much sense. I think all that was still marketing in the '90s, but at least there was more of like an excuse for it. Whereas nowadays, like I mean, on the consumer side, but nowadays it's just like, um, it's like I don't know. It's like you said, it's kind of tribalism. It's just
Mm-hmm.
people playing team sports,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, it's like I don't know. People all tend to do that a lot of times. They're like, oh no, I like this rapper, so that means I have to hate this rapper, or I
Mm-hmm.
like this, football team, so I don't want to beat up anybody with that jersey on. You know what I mean? And
people
it's
people
like,
have just been raised that way, right? Like it's just
yeah,
how it is.
yeah.
No, I'm totally here for every single company, publisher, everything, because ultimately we get the best product if they do their best and they're the best company. So,
Hmm.
but I think that's it for us, Slap. Man,
Yeah.
thank you guys for joining us. I know it's been, I swear, we're going to do another one at the end of this month. And I swear, it's going to be a lot smoother. I promise.
Hmm.
You guys can clip this up all you want. I promise it's going to be a lot better. All right, man. I have been Curtis, of course. My Twitter is at the bottom there. You guys can follow me what I do on Sports Gamers Online. I write and video produce on there to go on Sports Gamers Online on YouTube, and we have a website called sportsgamersonline.com. And also you can subscribe for my own content here on the Soul Dojo. And go ahead and give them your socials and everything like that.
Yeah. YouTube. It's just Walter Sapodelic. You'll be able to find my channel if you just search that. I've been working on a music video that hopefully will be coming out like real soon.
Mm.
Twitter is at Sapodelic. Had recently unbanned and able to tweet again. So,
I forgot
yeah.
about that shit. You right, real quick, yeah. Go ahead and is it super political?
Well, no, actually, well, it's funny because I forget what tweet I was even responding to, but it was Cardi B said something like she made some kind of just like sex joke, like it was clearly like a joke, you know what I mean?
I know
And
that she is. Yep.
I responded with this is gonna give Ben Shapiro a heart attack, and then I got banned for 6 days for inciting violence or wishing harm on others or something like that.
That is
I was like, that's
crazy. That is
yes.
hilarious.
Of all the things I say on that website.
It was that thing.
It was that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man. Man, and you can go on Spotify, go and follow Walter Slapadelic, man. Great artist,
Hmm.
dope artist. And man,
Thank you.
remember, I'm gonna set up the stream earlier, probably early next week, so you guys can see it all scheduled up and know when to go ahead and get up in here. But yeah, man, I've been Curtis with the Soul Dojo,